I got a letter. The name on the envelope said Silent Hill. It's ridiculous. Couldn't possibly be true. That's what I keep telling myself. A dead franchise can't write a letter. Silent Hill died from that damn company over a year ago. So then, why am I looking for it?
Because they're still fun.
Happy Halloween! My favorite time of the year is upon us, my friends. All Hallows Eve, Samhain, free candy night, however you say it, it's Halloween. And how am I choosing to celebrate? By playing a video game, of course. Out of all the franchises in the survival horror genre, I hold none closer to my heart than the Silent Hill series. And, they're not all good, but a lot of them are fantastic. And the game we're talking about today is often considered to be the best the franchise has to offer. Silent Hill 2. What makes a horror survival game good? Recently, it seems like the devs assume that jump scares are the way to go. And that drives me nuts. It's why I don't play many modern horror games. Silent Hill puts its focus heavily into its environment. It generates fear in all the right ways. You have the looming uncertainty of what's going to happen next. You worry about what kind of monsters are waiting for you in the next room. You stress out about not having adequate supplies to press on, and you have this daunting, eerie world enveloping you in its oppressive nature. They want you to worry about James and hope that he doesn't break any bones in his body from his ridiculous walk cycle. Very rarely will something jump out and go boo. Yeah, like that. Most of the time, anything dangerous will slowly stagger out of the mist towards you, and as they get closer, the radio you have on you starts to crackle and create static. And now you know that when something unfriendly is nearby, that's the sound that will play. Or maybe you walk into a dimly lit room, and the battery on your flashlight dies out, leaving you in the dark. Oh, but luckily you picked up a battery a little while back, so you change the batteries, turn the flashlight on, and... Get me the hell out of here! Everything that happens to you is intentional, to add to your paranoia of this worsening world and keep you questioning yourself. What could be coming next? Or where are the health drinks, or something? Speaking of, in a game about looking for items and supplies, they did probably the coolest thing they could have done. James will actually turn his head to look at whatever item of interest he sees. Not sure if they did this in the first Silent Hill. Never played that one. I probably should, but not now. Combat isn't as important as survival is. If you're able to run away from monsters, do it. There's no experience system, you don't get money for killing things. You just get to live another day. So why waste your supplies on, one of these dudes? Save them for when you're stuck in a hall with one of these dudes. Heck, she's a cutie with a booty. Not too much going on in the face area, though. Also, she's dead. I'm sorry. This is a game about whacking things with a stick, or a pipe, or a big-ass knife. Of course it's light enough that carrying it around in your pocket is no issue, but when you try to actually use the thing, worthless. It does do a ton of damage, but there are much better options. Like a gun, or a shotgun, or a rifle. Honestly, conserving ammo is the best idea, but later on in the game, after all that conserving, you don't have to worry about Ramboing your way through the rest of the game. Another one of the game's strengths is how puzzles are handled. Sometimes puzzles require you to go find a note, or something with a code on it. Other times, maybe you just have to get a key so that you can actually get hands-on with the clock face to solve the puzzle. Have a can opener? Use it to get a light bulb. Trade 3 tablets, get a horseshoe. Sometimes a solution to a problem is as simple as throwing a 6-pack of V8 veggie juice down a trash chute. Right where it belongs. I'm not really sure what's going on, but can't help but feel like I've seen this somewhere before. Anyway, TV. You know what TV means? That's right, video games. We still have a lot to talk about, Silent Hill 2. And I'm gonna do this thing where I tie some crazy theory together. So make sure you keep this fresh in your mind. We got a lot to go over. Oh, I didn't talk about the story yet, did I? Well, Mary is the wife of the main character, James Sunderland. He receives a letter from Mary saying that she's in Silent Hill waiting for him, which could sound normal, except that the kicker here is that Mary died 3 years ago from a disease. His memory of her death is a little foggy, but he can't help but feel like Mary is truly there, waiting for him. What a nut job, right? So he goes in, unsure of what he's gonna find. And that's really all the game tells you. The first character you meet is Angela. She's hanging out in a cemetery looking for her mama. When you start talking to her, she doesn't really seem all there. She warns you about the dangers of Silent Hill, but doesn't really explain more than it not being the fog. Her thoughts seem so distant. First time I met her, I actually felt sorry for her, and I wasn't sure why. She seems to be struggling with a wide range of emotions. It's almost like she's suffered her entire life. But you know what? She's kinda cute, and I want to protect her. I'm thinking we should just take her warning about Silent Hill being dangerous, count our losses, go talk to her, and go home.
Aren't you looking for someone?
That's right.
See, the thing about Angela is that her character traits, her insecurities, and her suffering, these traits can all be related to Mary. Mary wanted to die to escape her illness. She felt weak and worthless to James. All she wanted was for James to be there, but she knew he couldn't protect her. Ouch! Hey, you little brat! Ugh, speaking of suffering, there goes Laura. This little shit gives me agita every time I see her. She's such a pain in the ass. First thing she does to you is step on your hand while you're trying to reach a key. Me, personally, I'd never trust her again. Find the brat a babysitter and move on. Well, James is a good guy when it comes to kids, I guess. Or maybe it's just because Laura is friends with Mary, or at least she says so. She even leads you to a room where she says there's a letter from her. Come on, James. How are you gonna trust her when she stepped on your— Oh, good. Great, yeah? Hey, to no one's surprise, she tricked you and locked you in the room with the second boss. Nice one. Way to go. I know what I'd like to say about Laura, but personal opinions about the bratty kid aside, Laura appears to have two traits that belong to Mary. First, and the most obvious, is Mary's youth, before the disease consumed her life. And second, Mary's anger towards James. Mary's mixed emotions often switch to anger, which you can even hear in the final hallway in an exchange between Mary and James. This anger becomes regret, confusion. It's not easy being sick. Oh yeah, speaking of sick, viewers with weak stomachs when it comes to retching sounds may want to skip this scene. I'll give you a few seconds. Okay, time's up. Here's Eddie. Eddie is an unstable sociopath with a long history of violence. Not that you could tell with him being face deep in a dirty toilet bowl. At first, Eddie just seems like a big weakling. His first reaction when he saw a dead body was to puke and deny that he had anything to do with the guy's death. Kinda like how James blames the disease for killing Mary. It's a shift in the blame. But as time passes, you start to see Eddie lose control of himself until he eventually turns on James. And that's when Eddie finally accepts that he killed the guy in the first room you met him in. Eddie killed the guy for looking at him funny. Talk about petty. But beyond comparing Eddie's cowardice and sociopathic natures to James, Eddie doesn't really add much. He's a symbol who James has to waste away in order to move on and forget. I don't know. Dude likes pizza. So eventually, while James is looking around Rosewater Park for his wife, he stumbles upon— Oh. Well, hey there, honey. James confuses Maria with his wife, Mary. Awkward. Can't really blame him, though. He was expecting to find Mary here, and it doesn't help that Maria looks and sounds exactly like Mary. She's a foxy young lady who unfortunately appears to be sick. As she follows James around, they eventually come to a room where she feels weak. She takes some medicine, but never really explains why. It just kind of seems to be a normal thing to the both of them. And then she lays down to take a nap. Yet, not exactly the kind of place where I would think, I'll take a nap. You know, condemned hospital, angry dead nurse chicks everywhere, bed that definitely has some bodily fluids on it. Anyway, the medicine, her appearance, and her resemblance all tell me that Maria is the young, wild lady that Mary used to see herself as before the illness really started bogging her down. Hell, at one point you need to pass through a strip club to catch up with Laura, but the door's locked. Well, shit! How are we gonna get in there? Now see, what's odd to me is that we've seen 3 characters to represent Mary, but only 1 to represent James. So it was honestly difficult for me to justify that these other characters truly are pieces of the main characters. And when I was contemplating this, I had a thought. What is one way to say that someone is having an internal struggle? They're battling their inner demons, right? Even though James's struggle is not internal, he is still trying to survive his struggle with his demon. And there he is, Pyramid Head. They designed this part brilliantly. You hear the man scream in pain, you walk north to go see what happened, and just before you get to the room, you see him standing there in an ominous red glow on the other side of the rusted bars that block you from each other. This monster is a reoccurring theme throughout the entire game. It's the embodiment of the anger, the hatred, the frustration that once lingered deep in our protagonist's soul. Everything that James did and everything that he will do has manifested into a humanoid form, and it will kill him if James isn't careful. Now what happened to cause that scream we heard earlier? That dead guy wasn't there before, was he? No, he wasn't. You know what? The more I look at him, the more it kinda looks like James, doesn't it? Is this a threat, or are we simply overanalyzing this? Well, this is Silent Hill. There is no such thing as overanalyzing. This dead guy is the part of James that died after his wife passed away. After he rewatches the VHS tape of him murdering his wife. Oh, by the way, spoiler alert, James killed his wife to free her from the horrible disease that plagued her. Anyway, after he rewatches that VHS tape of him murdering his wife, James takes a whole different attitude. He has come to terms with his nightmare, and I would like to point out that now there are 2 Pyramid Heads. See, these characters could have been written off as simply added characters to make this hell-stricken town of Silent Hill feel more real, but when it comes down to it, each character portrays various character traits that could ultimately belong to James and his dead wife. Everything and everyone that you meet and interact with in Silent Hill is the result of the relationship between James and Mary. At some point, these 2 people fragmented, and those fragments mixed together to create the literal hell that James had to go through to find his late wife. The demons that you encounter throughout the entire game are all the doubts, negative thoughts, actions, and emotions that James perpetuates both in his daily life to himself and how he sees others. The demonized Silent Hill, destroyed and ruled over by a malevolent darkness, is the result of Mary's death, and the fear and anger that she lived in before her illness and her regret and sorrows towards James. Oh, shit. Oh, there you are. What the hell's going on? I don't know. I really want to go home. Anyway, walk with me, man. Okay, so kind of like we did for Skyward Sword, it wouldn't be a fair review if we didn't talk about the things I didn't like. You know, sometimes you just gotta reach your hand into the poopy water. Ew, gross. At least pull your sleeve up. Something that sucks about this game is how long some things take. Even right out of the gate, when you run from your car to the graveyard to meet Angela, and then actually getting to Silent Hill, it takes several minutes. And besides a couple of creepy noises and the foggy atmosphere, nothing happens. You just run. It's just missed. Looks like a missed opportunity to really get the ball rolling. Pawn City! Sure, the first time playing you may find your suspense building, but there comes a point when it's like, okay, I get it, super creepy, spooky neighborhood, let's go. Same thing happens when you leave Rosewater Garden for the last time to get to the Historical Society. Just run. Avoid various monsters scattered around. You could probably do this section blindfolded with the radio telling you where the monsters are. This is not challenging. I mean, realistically, would I want to be in this situation? No. But this is a video game. It fakes difficulty by making you take so long to get to your destination. They even did this with the boat section. On your way to the Lakeview Hotel, you need to cross the lake using a rowboat. Easier done than said. Just turn around until you see the light from the lighthouse and go forward. I heard there's supposed to be like land masses that stop you from going forward, but I couldn't find anything. I literally held up on the joystick. That's it. I appreciate the game's slow build of what makes it creepy, but there are ways to do that without making these situations feel boring. When you're running to Silent Hill, have some crows cawing and then fly away as you get near their tree. Maybe on the way to the Historical Society, have the sound of Pyramid Head's knife drag behind you, and then the sound stops when you stop moving. And as you get closer to the building, the sound gets closer to you. Are these bad ideas? Yeah, maybe. I'm not saying the current situations are bad, but it just bothered me how much waiting there is. The last instance I wanted to share involved an elevator ride from the 3rd floor of the hospital down to the 2nd. Normally, it takes mere moments. It's 1 floor. But this particular one takes several minutes to go down 1 floor. Reason why I'm not going to complain about this one is because you're given a little radio show on the way down that promises good fortune to the participant if they succeed, but violent consequences if they fail. And the chosen player of this minigame is... Sunderland! Oh, okay, well now this is important. So yes, it takes a long time to go down 1 floor, but at least there's substance to this one. Also, watch this. What hurt me? Here, watch it again. Did you see it? No, you didn't see it! These goddamn cockroach things are usually too small to see. Yeah, you can hear them loud and clear, but not seeing them is the issue. I mean, okay, it's not a lot of damage, but it's like stepping on a Lego. Even though you feel the pain, it's more frustrating than anything. But not as frustrating as the monsters become later on. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like the monsters gain a ridiculous number of hits towards the end of the game. Like, before, I just had to whack the thing a couple times, but near the end it takes way longer to kill the same enemies as before. Sure, it's later on in the game, but if you want stronger enemies, then make the difference show in the design. But you know what? I can forgive all that. Because honestly, the one thing that annoys me more than the waiting, annoys me more than the tiny bugs, annoys me more than the overly tough monsters, probably the one issue that I have with this game is this scene right here, where James gets his hand stepped on by Laura. Look at one of the first cutscenes, where James encounters his first monster. He utilized his surroundings. He pried the stick off the wall and proceeded to beat the living hell out of this thing. But then here, where he's just so close to reaching that key, oh, if only his arms were just a little longer, oh, woe is me. And then Laura kicks the key away and steps on his hand. Now, rewind it to just before he tries to reach the key. He has a stick in his hand. James, just use the stick. At the very least, knock that shit closer to you. No, you'd much rather have your hand crushed by a little kid who just ran off and made your day that much worse. So Silent Hill 2 is still my favorite horror game after all of these years. There's been contenders, you know, like Five Nights at Freddy's. Those are great. But just the way Silent Hill handles it.
James.
Mary?
James.
Forgive me.
I told you that I wanted to die, James. I wanted the pain to end.
That's why I did it, honey. I just couldn't watch you suffer. No. That's not true. You also said you didn't want to die.
Have you two seen outside? Jesus Christ, I've seen some couples drama in my day, but this takes the cake. Okay, look, I know, you two are both very upset, but you can apologize to each other. I know you're upset that you killed your wife. Apologize, it's okay. And Mary, I know you're sick, I know you're dying, but lighten up a little bit, okay? It's not, what?
That's my wife, she's dying. You can't talk to her like that.
Oh, now you care that she's dying. How many times did you let Maria die?
Who's Maria?
Why don't you ask your husband? She's insufferable, both of you, God. I just wanted to take a minute and thank you guys so much for watching my Halloween special. If you liked the video, absolutely give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. I have a question for you guys. What were some of your favorite Halloween memories growing up? Tell me in the comments section below. And hey, if you're new around here, feel free to subscribe to Nekumore. I usually do game reviews, game commentaries, but I upload a variety of videos from time to time. So again, I'd like to thank all you beautiful people for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Stay awesome.